Good Tavach. So, what's the first question? What are we starting with? What was the what?
So the question was, we're here to get inspired and we're trying to cure and inspiring others, but how do we get inspiration in our own children?
How do you inspire your own kids? Amazing. So the truth is, we had one answer in the back before. We were talking about the best answer. Is they said, turn your house into the matzav, the party, and then everyone hangs out in your house, and then you have the most control of your. By the way, it's not just good for your kids. Nothing like having a house with a lot of kids hanging out. You know, it's full of light, and which is generally. I mean, I'm already switching topics, but it's worth sharing. Is this idea that the best decisions we make in life are situations where we put ourselves into situations where we're forced to raise our game. Like, it's a simple decision to have an open house, but the second you made that decision, it changes your life, because now you have to have food. Now you can't fight with your wife. You know, now you have to keep it happy. You have to have music on. You have to provide an entirely. All you said was, let's open our house to our kids' friends. And where that takes you is you chose a fork in the road that changes everything. And the bracha, the blessing of good choices, is all of the new twists that those choices bring you. And you have no idea where people end up with lives that are so unimaginably beautiful, and it comes from the tiniest little choices, the little forks in the road that made all the difference. Right? I'm not plagiarizing. I'm attributing it to Robert Frost, right?
The other answer was good too. One that said, "Do as I do, not as I say." By setting an example.
Right. All right. Oh, you're saying serious, right?
That's important. You don't go to skip.
100%.
But I'm going to stay home and watch TV. They're going to still realize what you watch on TV, but they see you studying Torah.
Yeah. But I have my personal answer to the question I would give. I already said Friday night in the question and answer from a different question, but it's worth repeating, because that's it was a panel. You don't get really to express yourself. You get 2 minutes to answer, even though I take advantage of the 2 minute limit, but it's worth repeating it again. Is that where my mind goes when someone asks a question like that? How do I inspire my kids? So, what do you have to think of to answer questions? You have to think of, well, I can't figure out what the inspiration is until I identify what the problems that I'm trying to overcome are. You're asking for a cure. What's the malady that's the cure of, right? So, what robs us of inspiration? Truthfully, maybe I should clarify or I'm calling it a cure. The natural state of a person is to be fired up and inspired. Right? I say this often. I was at a seminar here in this hotel. It wasn't Inspire. It was a spin-off of Inspire. Something called Kairav Tuni. Whatever, Hasidic Kiruv weekend. They originally came to Inspire, and then they made their own. And they're very successful. It's beautiful. Inspire has nachas from their child programs. So I spoke to them, and they gave me a topic. It was Yiddish. It was called kindling our children's licht. Well, it's only one word was Yiddish, but lighting our children's fire. So I always have to mess with the titles. So I said what a terrible title, kindling our children's licht. It's not our job to light our children's fire. Children are born lit. That's what a child is. A child is a ball of fire. Dreams, longing, life can't go fast enough for them. Our job as parents is to make sure no one puts water on their fire, to protect their fire. That's our job. The fire is natural. It really goes back to Gan Eden. When Hashem created the world, He created Adam and Eve, He didn't give them any mitzvah. They had one mitzvah. What was their mitzvah? A negative mitzvah. Don't eat from the tree. How does the world become perfect from a thou shalt not mitzvah? It's a fascinating problem. God says perfect the world, and He only says is don't do something. So what's the answer? There's only one logical answer. Is that naturally, left to your own devices, you will perfect the world. All you have to do is is watch out for the things that will deter you. Rob, you are born on fire. I don't really get too far off track, but I'm just gonna, this is informal, so I can just go anywhere, but I'm gonna try and get back. But I remember seeing that scene, that was many years ago. It made such an impression on me. There was a father pushing a kid on a swing, and the kid's a little kid, and the father was pushing him, he was singing, and the kid said to the father, "Daddy, push me too high and too fast." That's what the kid said. Such a deep thing. Push me too high and too fast. So we can surmise what the kid said, the entire backstory, right? This kid already learned at a young age. It's a very sad story, really. This kid learned at a very young age that what he wants is called too high and too fast. He's already bad. He wants to go high and fast. And the world already taught him. The first thing he learned is that his natural inclinations are bad. And the kid is undeterred, though. He's saying, I still want it. So push me too high and too fast. He's already a criminal. He's the youngest criminal. We teach our children that desire and yearning and fire is bad, and yet it's very subtle. Yet you don't want to overparent and be too controlling, but you have to be cognizant of this. Is that children are born on fire? That fire is holy. The good inclination. When we say Yetzer Tov, that's a nice phrase. What does it really mean? It's desire. It's yearning. It's fire. Your Yetzer Tov is your ambition. Many people think it's the opposite. Many people think ambition's the Yetzer Hara. No, the Yetzer Tov is your ambition. The Yetzer Hara is all the fears that say, who you fooling, it's never going to happen. Just, stop dreaming. Sober up. That's the Yetzer Hara. And to listen to Yetzer Tov means to fly. So, in Gan Eden, Hashem only gave one law, is don't run away. Don't cop out. If you don't cop out, you will become everything because you're created with an engine. And therefore a parent's job is to make sure that no one extinguishes their kid's fire. That's your job, not to create fire. So when a parent asks, what is the important lessons, the lessons should be is to protect your kids from having their fire extinguished. These are the important lessons. The guardian. You don't have to do anything to light them. If their fire is kept dry, you just watch and the most amazing things will happen. So what are the best advices for that? That's my process. I hear the question, what are the problems that I'm trying to cure? The problem is having fire extinguished. What extinguishes fire? Can we identify those things? What? Well, some people love school. What is it? Because school could be an amazing experience, could be negative. What is the danger in school? What is the risk in school? You're not, because if it's straight up school, then your job is create truants, right? That's not right. So we have to zoom in on the problematic parts of school. Can we send my kid to school that he can learn and thrive and avoid competition? That's a fascinating answer. See, I would say that competition is part of the Yetzer Tov. Competition is part of ambition. And it's very hard to reframe this. We've learned to associate these things with negativity. Competition is holy. Yeah.
Give me one word. Smothering. Everything else is
That's nice. Fire gets such a powerful answer.
You don't let the kids speak.
Good. Let's figure out why. But parents.
You don't let them question. You smother it. That's what kills fire, and that's what kills.
Can I tell you a Torah? I remember this. You just reminded me of a Torah I heard from Rabbi Shimon Schwab many years ago, on the Parsha of Mishpatim 2 weeks ago. The Parsha says 2 laws of parents: don't hit your parents, don't curse your parents. 2 psukim, separated by 1 pasuk, which says is don't kidnap. Why is the law of kidnapping in between the 2 laws of lashing out at parents? Interesting question. So Rabbi Schwab said, because children lash out at their parents when their parents are kidnappers. Meaning their parents, the real culprit, most kidnapping is not when somebody else comes into your home and takes the kid. The parents are the kidnappers of their own children, smothering them, emasculating them. There's a million ways that we can disable our children, and that's why it's a beautiful thought. So smothering is a good answer. What is smothering really? Smothering is it's very deep, the word smothering, because smothering is a way to get rid of a fire. How do you get rid of a fire is you smother it.
Yeah, right. That's two ways. One is being too strict, and the other is being people give too much love, and letting them just do whatever they want.
Right. Right. So you have to let people let fire breathe. The rule of fire is it has to breathe. Right. If you let the air in, it's a very powerful rule. Okay. So don't smother them. That's one good idea, which is maybe the most important thing to say, because the most dangerous things are the things that look good, that you assume are the right things to do. I don't have to focus on the things that are obviously bad. Don't get your kids a smartphone when they're before they have any self-control. That should be an obvious rule. Unfortunately, it's not. But that should be a no-brainer. But I think the first thing we give our kids are iPads. That's like the first thing. Except from kids get their ears pierced and then they get the iPad, right? Like, is that true? Like the iPad, but
I'm laughing because I just went to meet my new granddaughter, and her
ears are pierced. Yeah.
She got them pierced.
That's right.
A week.
It's the same thing. I want you to know, the same way we do, the girls always come first. The boy's bar mitzvah when he's 13, the girl when she's 12. The boy gets a bris when he's 8. She has to get her ears pierced before that. 8 days. So 8 days. Within the first 7 days, the ears got to get pierced because the girls got to go first. So it's a mitzvah. But so what we say, what were we saying? We're saying, well, we lost the train of thought. What was the? But we were somewhat specific in the smothering. What were we saying?
You're not letting them do something their way.
A good thing.
Oh, what?
Sometimes it seems like a good thing, but if you do too much of it.
You do too much of it. You're yeah. Oh, that's why it's worth saying. Like, you don't have to give so much. The top few things you should tell parents on the list of top 10 shouldn't be the obvious things. They'll figure it out. It should be the things that everyone assumes are good. Smothering is up there, right? Because you think you can't love too much. You think you can't go. Because it robs people of their of initiative, of their feeling of power. In order to be great, you have to find your strength. You becomes emasculating. You lose your. A kid needs to feel like a hero. It's nice to be saved. Cooler than being saved is to be the saver. That you have to. People love to. You want to feel your purpose in the world. When a mother is giving to her kid, she's fulfilling her purpose. But at the expense of the kid finding his purpose. My purpose of life is not to be a victim saved. I'm supposed to be a saver. So I'm waiting. Your job is to make your kid into a nurturer. So you need to be a role model of nurturing. You have to have seen where it is, but you have to know when to stop, when to let your kid, because to learn how to receive and how to get, it's not a hard skill set. It's a pretty easy skill set. You don't get credit for teaching your kid to accept gifts. What you have to teach is how to be a giver. So when you overplay your hand of giving, it starts to become negative. I had this idea. I was going to go somewhere else. So you got to wake up over here. I need like a little coffee. I thought of something along the same lines that I thought I wanted to say. Okay, we'll keep on talking. It'll come back. Anything worth saying comes back. What else? So what I said the thing I said Friday night that I think is worth repeating is that I think the thing that robs us most of our drive and initiative is fear. is fear. Everybody has dreams. Why isn't everybody chasing their dreams? Because I'm afraid I'm going to fall on my face and get hurt. It's so much easier to not, it's safer. Safety. In a way, it's not going to be in any dictionary like this, but I would say the opposite of ambition is safety. Because it's not literally the opposite, but if I give you two choices, your two choices are to try and be powerful, to be ambitious, or to play it safe. That's the alternative path. Don't take risk. Avoid risk. So what makes someone choose safe? So your child's choice is safety versus ambition. The best place to see it is you have a boy, he's growing up in the first thunderstorm. So half of you want to run into mommy and daddy's room and feel safe. And then already the other half is, I want to be a boy, a man. You gotta, it's a very powerful moment for the kid, And this desire, do I want to be safe or do I want to be powerful? And if you too many times run to safety, you start to lose your self-respect and the belief in yourself as a hero. Sometimes parents want to be there. Come in our room, he's scared. Sometimes you have to be able to tell the kid you got this. I'm right next door. And listen, I don't want to make it sound like parenting is like so scary. Oh my God, I can mess up in 2 seconds, I can ruin my kid. Things happen very slowly. You get 30 chances before you messed up and it makes an impression. It's not like anything. Everything you do as a parent is disappearing ink. You have to you'll get a lot of chances. You shouldn't be scared that you're going to do permanent damage. You get retests. The education of life goes very slow, and it's only when things happen a few times that it makes a real impression. So I don't want you to feel like this heavy weight of, oh my God, I never thought of that. I want my kids to come to my room, and then oh, you said they should come in the room. I said they should stay, and you're gonna fight. It's nothing that dramatic. Of course, there are things that are hugely dramatic and ruin someone's life in 5 minutes, but the normal things in someone's life don't happen in a minute.
You really said something very profound. You said these words: fear of failure stilts ambition.
Yes, that's where I want to go. The fear of failure is the opposite of ambition, and therefore, right, and therefore the number one job of a parent is. So that's what we're reverse engineering your question. We're saying that we want kids to continue being on fire. What robs them on fire? The number one thing is the fear of failure. So how do I get rid of that? So you're never going to be able to teach your kid that failure is not an option. That's not the way to cure fear of failure. Is you're going to succeed. You got this. That's not the answer. The answer has to be that don't worry about failure. Failure is nothing to be scared of. And that's not an intuitive lesson that parents intuitively understand. We normally don't learn that until we failed and gotten hurt, and then in a recovery from failure, we come to these recognitions. Going in to identify that for parents, that maybe your primary job is teaching kids that failure is nothing to be scared of, is amazing. And the best way to do anything, they call it playing with house money. What does that mean? You want to fight a war. The best place to fight a war is on enemy territory. So when you lose, you're just off their land. To fight on your own territory, everything's your land. So it's good to fight things in the buffer zone, out of your area. Play with house money. This way you lose, you're not losing your money. You're not losing your Karen. You're losing the... So what is that in this case? So we'll start a new question soon for those who are coming in, but it's a little long-winded. But
I think the most important thing you can do as a parent is to instill confidence in your kid. Instill confidence.
okay, but
Show you believe in them. You can do it. You may not do it the first time, the second time, but all right.
see, I would argue. I would tell you that confidence.
You can hit that pitcher. You can catch that pass.
I would tell you that confidence is natural. The kid starts off confident. Kids start off thinking they're invincible, not only confident. The way you have to preserve confidence. You're talking about after a kid already has been knocked down and wavering. The question, can we prevent that? Confidence is the hallmark of childhood. Most of the parents' job in the beginning is
It depends on the kid, I think.
You think so?
Depends on the kid, yeah.
I don't know. Listen, there may be degrees, but let me get back on track. If we have the luxury, we'll come back to confidence. I just want to finish this thought. The thought that I wanted to expand on is that the primary role, therefore, of a parent is to help their kid not be afraid of failure. And I said, well, how do you do that? I was saying play with house money. What is that? Is to set higher sights. Don't try and tell your kid that failure is acceptable. No, is like, okay, you can make it. You have to show them like that it's exciting. I'm not going to explain it without telling you the story. I'll give you the story, and then you'll hear it. The story I told Friday night is I was coming to Project Inspire. I was on the way here. We were driving here, and with my kids, and I had an early slot, a Friday afternoon slot, not a Shabbos slot. So those slots before Shabbos, and I was stuck in terrible traffic, and I was going to miss it. And my kids knew this is a very important thing. You're coming to Inspire for the weekend. It's not I give a lot of speeches, but this is a big speech. People pay a lot of money to come here. They're here for Shabbos, and you don't want to ruin it the first year they're going to miss. It's just, you feel like there's a lot of weight on it. And my inclination was to be a total nervous wreck. I was like I'm not like the muttering at the other cars stage, but I was, and then I realized that this is an unbelievable opportunity because my kids know how important this is to me. They know how important it is. It's blowing up in my face. It's not working. And if I could teach them at this moment is worth its weight in gold. Because if I could teach my kids at this moment that I'm calm and we got this, it's all going to be good. This is what they'll remember forever. And I was in the car and I figured, how could I? My inclination is to like be a nervous wreck and like talk to the traffic and say, oh, what are we gonna do? They knew how important it was. I didn't have to say it. I said, it's really crazy. Like I'm gonna miss my class. I'm so excited to see what Hashem had in mind. Like, why did I have to miss this? Who are they gonna put in instead of me? Maybe there was someone there who needed to hear something and they needed to hear what the other guy had. We're going to get there, make sure when we get there, we go see who's talking during my class and listen to what he said. I want to know why Hashem made this happen. This is amazing. Let's go see. And what did my kids hear there? I could have told them 1,000, don't be scared, everything's going to be good. And how many years would it take for that lesson, those words to even go in? Kids really hear us. But here, they were nervous for me. We all know. And I said to them, I said, we got this. Let's see what happens. I made it exciting. I made it like we're on an adventure. Let's see. We had a crazy plan. It was going to be exciting. And Hashem just changed the plans. He must have a better plan. That lesson is so much more real to them because it was real. I say the greatest gifts of parenting are crises. In crises, you get accelerated parenting. You have the chance to teach kids things that would take 30 years, and you can do it in 1 minute because they see your eyes, and then when for the rest of their lives, they are going to hit many situations where things that they wanted are blowing up. And what did they learn? I can't wait to see what's going to happen. I can't wait to see why Hashem's plan is better than mine. If I had to give one idea of parenting, this is the idea. Is when the going gets tough, that is the moment that parents were dreaming from. You should almost pray for crises so that you get accelerated parenting. You get like real level parenting. It's like permanent, and then do it. Do this to your kids, because then what you're doing is you're giving your kids the chance, the ability to overcome the thing that is most likely to deter them in life, which is the fear of failure and the fear of things blowing up. And this is inoculating your kids to the fear of failure. Not by inoculating the fear, to making the fear of failure an exciting trip. That's what I mean, house money. You're not trying to survive, you're making it better. It's a gift. I'm creative, I have a good script. Hashem is much better at writing than me. Let's see what his script was. That's the attitude. Who's a better writer, me or God? Who has a better imagination, me or God? we thought we had a good trip planned. Let's see what Hashem planned for us. It's a very easy thing to do as long as you have it on your mind, and truth is, forget parenting. You got to parent ourselves. If we can do this for ourselves, it's life-changing. You're never too late to reparent yourself. The next crisis you're in, we once were going away for Shabbos, and we were never going to get to where to go. It was Shkia, and we had to pull over somewhere, and I said, these are the best adventures. Let's see what our Shabbos is going to be. We're going to have the most amazing Shabbos. Like, we're going to find the crazy place to daven, and that's what happened. We ended up at Wall Street Synagogue, and we were talking about for years how the chazan was wearing a baseball cap. We never saw that when we were growing up. Like lifetime stories. They stayed in the Vista International Hotel down by the World Trade Center. That was whatever, because the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel was backed up, and we couldn't make it to Brooklyn, and we parked right by the tunnel, went to the Vista International, and had crazy, crazy Shabbos. How many Shabbases do we have as children? We remember the mess up ones better if you made it exciting. So that's my if I had to pick one parenting advice, is inoculate your kids to the fear of disaster or failure by showing them that failure is Hashem's script. The end of the story was, I got to Project Inspire, and my kids, I said, I'm going to park the car. You go run in the room, and I want listen to what they're saying, and tell me what they're saying, because I'm going to miss it. I have to park the car, bring the bags in, because it was almost Shkia. Like, it was almost candlelighting, whatever, I think, already. So it was like the last class. So I come in, and my kids are looking at me all nervous. Nobody was giving my class. It was a half an hour late, and everyone was sitting in the room. And I said, oops. So they look at me like, what now? I said, I come in, I go, you know what it is? I told everyone in the class I had a class prepared, and I was going to give it. And then this is my thought process with my kids in the car. We came here. You know what the answer, and no one's speaking. You know what the answer must be? Is that what I needed to tell you was this new thing I learned on the way here. And I told them this class. I said, this is what Hashem wanted me to tell you. This is why I had to be late. So I would have this chiddush, and you're the first people to have it. And that became my shir. I told my kids afterwards, is that amazing? That Hashem made me traffic, because I was going to give some weird random shir on Shabbos. Instead, I gave them a shir that all their children will benefit from for the rest of their lives. And that was that's how, it's a different way to reframe how we look at life, and the difficulties of life is to see it as, let Hashem write the script as opposed to me. Okay, next question. It's quiet. Anybody up this late? It's what? Ask questions. Yeah. Let your Rebbitzin go first, though. Okay.
No, it's more like I came late. So, what were some of the things that were asked?
Oh, we only had one question. The whole thing was one question the whole time, okay. And it was, as a parenting advice, what's the most important things I think to inspire your child? Whatever. Number one, we make it generic. The number one parenting advice. No, that's the most important question. What questions do you have more important than parenting in your life?
You want to come babysit my kid next week?
We'll bring him to you.
What do you got in your fridge? What?
Oh, yeah, that's a question I had.
Yeah.
What is a meatball? The whole time you're talking, what is a meatball?
Listen. You Canadians, that's not where you start. You're jumping in the deep end of the pool. First, ask what it is to walk outside without a mask on. Okay? Okay? Then we'll work our way up the meat boards. I'm saying, the Canadians are still COVIDing, probably. My son married a girl from Canada during COVID. And in New York, we do weddings, we were like, and my son's wedding, I had a nice new suit and a new hat, and my mechutin, the girl's father, an otherwise normal guy, regular guy. I mean, this could be on tape. Oh, he says to me, we're walking him down, like there's a photo ops, and he goes, "Can you please put a mask on?" I said, "Chuppah?" He goes, "Yeah, put a mask on." And I said, you know what? I'm going to mess up my son's Shalom Bayis before it even started, and I put the mask on like a good little boy. Comes to the chuppah, under the chuppah, I'm standing there, I took it off. He looks at me, he goes, could you put the mask back on?
Wait a minute, when was this? During COVID? Like during the height of COVID?
I don't know the height. COVID was long time.
Yeah.
They were able to leave Canada and come to the wedding, so it couldn't be the height. The wedding was delayed until they could come in. So it wasn't the height. My son's married it was the end of COVID. My son's only married
Not every Canadian.
2 years. What?
Not every Canadian.
So, but I'm saying, but you know why it was? I judged him favorably. That you know what it was? He's a very normal guy. It's that he probably couldn't show his face in shul if they saw pictures of the wedding, and the father-in-law wasn't wearing, and his mechutin wasn't wearing. It was like you married crazy New Yorkers. That's how, I'm sure there's a different explanation, but that's how I read it. I judge him favorably. I say, you don't understand the pressure of Canadians are responsible. They're responsible, and so we're the crazy ones for living loose and what?
In my shul, my rabbi decided no such thing as COVID. Nobody had to wear masks. There was no social distancing.
Is he a New Yorker?
What?
Is he a New Yorker?
No, not New York. He's American, but
Okay.
Cleveland.
Cleveland.
Originally from Cleveland.
Wait, so what was that? So what was that? A meat board. I'm saying what a meat board is. A meat board is.
Oh, a meat board. I thought you said
A meat board is a symbol of modern bougie Jewish what do they call it? Conspicuous consumption.
I'm thinking you're talking about like a cutting board that you use for.
It is. It's a cutting board. It's $100. It's $100 cutting board that becomes disposable. It is just used to serve an extravagant selection of dried meats by kiddushes. And everyone competes who can spend more thousands of dollars on one-time meat boards. And the bigger, you come back from kiddush, and everybody wants to know how big was the meat board. Yes?
I like to raise my hand because I'm a good boy, just like you put the mask on. Here's the Shaila. You talked about Hashem before in your Hashkafa and missing your speech coming to Project Inspire. What was Hashem's purpose for us when people had to wear masks for 5 minutes? Why did Hashem put masks on us all? What are you trying to COVID was?
I mean, why was it COVID? Because Hashem. Oh.
Go. Josie, come up. Let's go. Let's do this.
Hashem was trying to give us a big message, and we didn't pay attention, so we brought Gaza instead. Made it stronger. And we didn't pay attention to.
She just saved you an hour.
Josie's spitting fire. This is that's an American expression for saying the truth.
I don't know if you say. I say that all the time. When COVID started, I was so excited. I thought Hashem is saying, Mashiach is coming. Mashiach is coming now because this is what Hashem is doing to us. He's sending us in a nice way because the Mashiach has to come in two different ways. This is the nice way. This is the gentle way. We have to stay in our houses, whatever. And we didn't pay attention.
It's beautiful, Josie. You're fully baked. You're done. You take it out of the oven. Don't get a.
And I was wrong, and it didn't happen. And then what happened? October 7th, in a bad way.
Wow.
And yet Mashiach still isn't here, because we still haven't learned.
Wow. How's that? What do you? I don't need a beer.
That wasn't the question I was going to ask.
Well, what's your question?
What was my question? Nothing. Oh yeah, what are you talking about sports?
What's the question?
I don't have a problem with playing. It's the watching. Is what you should do. It's the watching and all the garbage.
I'm
Following it and this and that.
Listen. First of all, playing is the most is very important. That's not.
Following the dreads of society, you know.
No, I listen.
He gave Rabbi Gordon a whole speech. So.
No, I think it's a good question, right? We want to teach our kids to be productive. Getting them into sports is a good thing. I think it's a very good thing. But let me put it in context. Why is it a good thing? Because You have to know what the options of life are today. What every generation has its own challenges. The challenge of this generation is, it's weird how almost every share comes to the same line. I'm going to say I guess it makes sense because every share I'm giving is about Judaism today, so I have to describe the malady of the day. The malady of today is one word. You know what the word is? Whatever. Whatever is the mantra of this generation. Right? What? Whatever. Like, another way to say it is when we're young, we're all wide-eyed. And then when you become a teenager, you learn how to do the eye roll. You know? The eye roll. The eye roll is visual whatever. And that is the superpower of the next generation is eye rolling. Like, nobody can do a more deflating eye roll than the next generation, you know? And with the or the whatever, you know, like, that's the problem. If that's the problem, so then the bar of conquering the problem of the generation is you know what? Let me make it into a Purim talk. Okay? Purim. The problem, it's weird, I just said it today, but it's not really today. Because the protagonist, that's the negative bad guy in the Purim story. I don't want to misuse words. What? It's a good guy, the protagonist. So who's the bad one? The antagonist? Yeah? So I didn't mean protagonist. I mean, there's another word. The whatever it is, the villain, but there's whatever. Haman's the bad guy. Haman is Amalek. What is the mantra of Amalek? Whatever. Amalek is Mikra, Asher Korcha Baderech, who randomly happened upon you on the road. Happenstance. The way Amalek wages war is to draw lots, which is like whatever. Lots means it's just random, right? Random is random. Random, that's like a synonym of whatever, like almost. I'm sure there's nuance, and I'm like, you're probably laughing inside. Like, he thinks random is whatever. It's two totally different insults. Like, you know, but Amalek really is the disseminator of the idea of whatever. And that's the war of Purim. So what is the victory of Purim? What is the answer to whatever? You have one word that is the best answer to whatever. If whatever is what your kids are up against, or what yourself are up against, so what is the antidote to whatever? We say on Purim, La Yehudim Haisa Oira V'Simcha V'Sasoin V'Yakar. Many levels of greatness. The last one is V'Yakar. We know what the other ones are. Oira is light to the Jews. There was Oira, light, Simcha, joy, Sasoin, jubilation, rejoicing, whatever. V'Yakar. The word V'Yakar is the same word as Mikra. Right? If those who know in Vayikra, it's the same thing, right? Vayikra and Vayakar, the small aleph, they talk about it. Is it a calling or is it random? Happenstance and a calling is the same word. Random, whatever. What does Yakar mean? Precious, valuable. Jewels are Yakarim. They're to teach children that everything's valuable is the opposite of randomness. That's Purim is about Mikra, and our thing is Mikra. Things are so valuable, so precious. Things belong in a velvet box. Things wide-eyed versus eye rolls. Let's get back on track. What was the original? What we were saying? What? Sports. So sports is, if the problem of the generation is whatever, sports is the gateway to caring, to investment, to having you becoming. It's the door into that emotional roller coaster of your team making it, not making it to the playoffs. When a kid sits on the edge of his seat, his team finally made it to the playoffs, and the heartbrokenness of his team being eliminated, or the joy of making it, what you're watching is someone who conquered whatever and entered the world of risk, where even though it's artificial, but it's the training and the developing the taste buds for the willingness to invest in something, even though it takes me on an emotional roller coaster. Sports is a very, very good tool because it's a very enticing way and a very popular. It's very hard to do things solo. To swim upstream solo. So you want to tell your kids, I know your friends say whatever. We say everything's important. Invest yourself. It's a nice parenting schmooze. It's not going to happen. Sports is a gift. Sports is a way to get your kids into caring, and everyone's on their team. It's almost like natural. And before they know it, they're an invested person. And they've experienced roller coasters. And I would say that we talk a lot about gateway drugs, gateway sins, things that are doors into the dark places. There are gateway mitzvos. There are gateway positive experiences. There are things that you do that are simple that bring you into a great world. Sports is a gateway to greatness because greatness is investment. And the easiest way to teach a kid investment is to get him into his local team sports because their gravity and the group and peer pressure is on the side of holiness, of investment. That's what I would argue. And I'm very pro. I was a little kid. Some of my best memories, my father was a big Ranger fan. And we used to go to the Garden, and we always lost. But that's also important. It's good to root for a team that's not so good. You get heart. I know in my school, all the Mets fans ended up far more frum than the Yankee fans. It's interesting. They were all like Clay Kodesh. They're all running meisters because they learned how to be invested even though it's rocky. This is the coolest advice any rabbi would have given. I'm very proud of this now. I never said this before. Get your kids into sports and choose loser teams. Okay?
You heard it here.
You heard it here. Is that amazing advice? Yeah. Torah anytime. Okay. Well, any other questions? Yes.
What's like an appropriate balance, and also like what's a check-in? Like if we're, let's say like it's kind of like she got me thinking like she's saying like what's going on in her sister, like what's an appropriate balance between like caring so much and thinking about it all the time, and then like also like okay, I'm moving on with my life, I'm doing what I have to do, putting it aside. What's an appropriate balance, and what's a good way to check in if I'm doing growth?
Wow. You hear the question? I'll repeat the question just to make sure that I'm making pretend I'm like repeating it. I'm just making sure I got it right. So, the question is like when you have something very, very heavy, like what's going on in Israel. So part of us assumes that the moral thing, the frum thing, is to take it in and change your life. You can't live normally in times of such drama and such heaviness. On the other hand, you need to go on with life and you need to do your thing. And what's the proper balance of absorbing and responding to crises and unique opportunities, and the balance of getting back to your regular program thing, and how much should I allow myself to be derailed? It's not a simple thing. So my inclination is to answer. It's my inclination. I'm saying it probably should be controlled, but a very easy way to answer the question would be is when crises happen, it's not called being derailed. It's Hashem is telling you. It's not back to is deal with this and then back to our original scheduled program. What Hashem is saying that this is where I want to redirect you, and this is the regular, and following Hashem's script is if you're growing up and you're living in a time when things happen, the place you're supposed to be is in a response to your days, your time, not a different time. That wasn't when you were born, and whatever you thought your plan was you might have been wrong because Hashem created a new state of affairs, and we have to adapt. The world will never be the same. The world should never be the same again. You know, that's an easy answer, and I just don't think it's fair. You know, it's a little. You know, I can't talk for God, but Hashem is reasonable. He makes demands on us that are reasonable. And to expect that people should be able to totally alter their life's paths based on things that happen is, I think, it doesn't match with what I've learned about Hashem's ratzon for us. Hashem wants us to make small changes. He wants us to be. Give you an example. I'm saying it's sounding too philosophical. I want to make it more real. In Kirov, I always made sure that when I send kids to Eretz Yisrael, students, I made sure I even offered them, I know you're tight on money, you don't want to pay for a carry-on or an extra bag. I want you to bring your guitar with you. Because a lot of people go to yeshiva and they think they have to leave their whole life behind. No, you play guitar. And you put a lot of skill into it. You develop a lot of skill, and you invested a lot in it. Going to yeshiva shouldn't be a disavowal of your whole past. And everyone has that thought, I want to start new, and they need to be encouraged, especially when they have to spend $70 for extra luggage to bring their guitar. So then you have your money-saving thing on the side of whatever voice it is, don't take it. So I've told students, I want to pay for you to take your guitar with you, because to make sure they take it. It's very important that we don't disconnect from our previous experiences and who we are. You know, most of our previous experiences are not bad. We might have things of our life that we have to change, but that doesn't mean your whole life deserves to be thrown out. So based on that attitude, I think when things like this happen, the whole Gaza, of course we're supposed to change from it. But your previously scheduled life is still your life. Like, your question is legitimate. My inclination to say is, no, Hashem is telling you, you can never be the same again, you know? It's possible they both coexist. I'll never be the same again. I'll be more sensitive, I'll be more deeper, but I have to get back to my life with the new awarenesses that I have. Like, you don't want to give away your guitar, whatever that represents in this. So your question is very legitimate. What is the ratio? What is the... Again, I'm much better... Well, yes, please.
So, obviously we have to go on with our lives, whether you're a parent or a child or a student or you have a job. Regardless of what's happening, you have to go on with your life. But your davening can change. You can take on something as a schus for whatever crisis is happening. And you can make little changes that will increase your awareness. You know, people started weekly Tehillim groups for the soldiers and for the hostages.
I think it's a beautiful answer. My inclination is to do a little, is less compartmentalization. Again, I'm much better at philosophy than reality. So these are like real questions. But my inclination is to make daven more and do more Tehillim that's not the message so much. I don't have to change my life. I can have the same life, just be better at it. Not to compartmentalize. How can I enhance my life, my scheduled life?
Where the schus comes in, you take on something.
But I'm saying the taking on is separate. How do I become a better student? How do I become a better boss? How do I become a better employee? How do I become a nicer coworker? How do I become more sensitive to people's... You know, you want to get poetic is on Pesach we talk like this, is everyone's a hostage, everyone's imprisoned by something, and I guess like overly dramatic, but in a way it's a good way to think. Like, Hashem gives us things like center screen, big and large, but we're supposed to wonder, where does that exist in my life? Like when I talk on Pesach, I say, who's your paro? Find your Moshe to help you escape your paro. What's enslaving you? You know? What parts of me are an underground cave that I don't let see the light? And how do I, these are dramatic things to say. It's harder to say what does that mean in English, but right, but everybody knows their own things. You know which parts of you have tied up underground. And then you figure out how do you get them out,
I just want to refer back to what you said about sports.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to take offense to you. Obviously, you're a lot more skilled at this, and you've been doing this for a long time. But you have a son that was unusually good in sports. When he was 2 years old, the pediatrician told me that if he wasn't Jewish, he would probably make it to the major leagues. He'd never seen a Jewish kid do these kind of moves. When he got older, obviously he was good at it, right? His yeshiva encouraged him. But then when I spoke to his Rabbi, because it became a whole thing, I said, do I encourage sports? Or do I let him follow it? Or do I, so his yeshiva believed in playing sports. But they didn't believe, they were very against him following it and getting very into it.
Okay, listen, so let me say this. So
It's one thing.
the video is not hearing it, so I'm going to repeat your question for the camera, just because people always tell me that they watch it and they don't know what's going on, so they hear the question. So I'm repeating it for the camera. Is that she's going back? This woman's going back to the previous sports question, and she's saying that she had a son who was very talented in sports, but the Rebbeim gave the opposite advice, that he shouldn't be too into sports. And they played ball. We separated in the answer between playing sports and following sports. Right. So I don't argue with you.
I remember, the guys went to sports, and in Kipper, in the World Series, the guys that were following it were checking the newsstands on Yom Kippur to see what the score was.
So let me tell you, that's not 100% true, because the Rosh Yeshiva weren't doing it. The Chazan Yom Kippur wasn't checking it, and he was also into sports when he was younger. So not everybody who was into sports was checking it, because everybody in America in those days was into sports. And to reconcile what you're saying, what your experience was, and what I'm saying is I was careful to say sports was a gateway to investment. It's not the final destination. What starts with sports, what are we trying? We're trying to overcome the temptation to say whatever. Investing in sports, caring about it, becomes an emotion. There's a reason why people leave on Yom Kippur to go find the scores, because they care. Caring is already a defeat of the whatever apathy. But what caring is supposed to lead you to are deeper things than sports. The best example of apathy versus caring is getting married, having kids. It's so much easier not to get married. There's no drama. Marriage is amazing, but it's also painful. Having children, you ask anyone in the world, their greatest pleasure in life is their kids. Their greatest pain in life is their kids. So the choice to have kids is to choose risk. To not have kids is the safe choice. That's what we want. But the way you get someone to make the hard choices, to have kids, knowing all the things, to go into shidduchim, knowing all the possible pain, is to teach them first to trade safety for risk. That risk is more valuable than safety. The gateway to embracing risk over safety are things like sports, because it's easy. Everyone's doing it. There's no friction. No one's fighting me on it. And then once you care about sports, you've discovered that I cared, and I got hurt sometimes, and it was worth it, and it's okay. And now you're already an investor as opposed to a bystander. And now people start to invest in small little stocks, and as you go, if you're 10 years later you're still investing in little things, then you didn't really get into it. So sports is the thing that gets you into shidduchim, and shidduchim gets you into children, and people start businesses, and some people are afraid to start businesses. What? Taking risk. I'm saying a lot of people, you have to understand, a lot of people don't have risk. The typical person today in America doesn't want to have kids. It's too disruptive. It's too risky. So much can go wrong. What? Everyone has risk. I'm giving you Mishalom. Typical American the point is that what would have been a good cure for these people is if these people would have rooted for the Mets, they probably would have had kids. They would have experienced risk and heartbreak and understood the bittersweet experiences of waiting for things and have to wait a whole nother year for something good to happen. And by the time they're grown-ups, they're very comfortable with investment in things that will cause them pain. Instead, what happens is people play safe their whole lives. And they say whatever. They're afraid to invest in anything. Many kids today are not into sports. Because it's not into anything. Because if I care about something, I could be hurt by it. So by the time it comes to the big decisions, they're crippled. You have to start teaching people investment early. And that's what was my point. My point is that reading the landscape in the real world, the landscape is the obstacle. The struggle for kids in this world is taking risks. You know what coolness is? Every kid wants to be cool. Cool. Okay, anyone know the recipe of being cool? Define coolness. It's a boy thing. Everyone here is girls. But most boys would give their kidney to be cool. You know what the secret of coolness is? The secret of coolness is don't care about anything. If you don't care about anything, then nobody could hurt you. Good. What? You don't care about anything? I care about you.
That's why you're 99% cool.
You're my kryptonite. But I was saying, like, the secret of being cool is not to care. You see, if I don't care about anything, nobody can hurt me. If I care about anything, I can be hurt. I could say, I read the most amazing book. And then somebody will say, that book's amazing? It's like so childish. I read it in 4th grade. And now you're ashamed. So you learn, okay, even books I can't like. So coolness this is a real thing in the real world. A real thing. People in our door, it's a relatively new thing. Because these are the challenges of living in an amazing world. When people were farmers, they didn't have the option of chilling. If you chill, you starve. You couldn't say whatever. Someone's got to milk the cow. Someone's got to go plow the field. Otherwise, there's nothing. Once you end up in a world where everything's a gift and everything is easy, so now you have leisure. And now I can choose to be into things or not. There was no such thing as a snooze button in the 1800s. Not just technologically. It wasn't, the sun is up. There's not enough time already to do what we need to do. So the problem of the modern diaries is in luxury. We can check out. And then if you can check out, you realize there's a great appeal to checking out. And if I check out, I can't get hurt. If you have the expression, you can't fire me, I quit. If you don't have a job, you can't get fired. If you're lying flat on the floor, you can't fall. If you don't go into shidduchim, you can't be rejected. You don't apply to that school, you can't be not accepted. So it's a real option to just not be involved. So if you want to teach your kids, you have to be smart, you have to be royus and noilad, you have to know that these are the challenges your next door will face even worse than our door will. And therefore you have to figure out how you're going to teach your kids to take risks and to invest themselves and not say, who cares? And look for things that they can care about. And the best things are things that are going to hurt them. Because then they learn that they could be hurt and they survive, and this next year, builds character. I'm not joking when I said all my friends who were Met fans became going through it. I never thought of it before. It just came to me in this thing because someone else said Nets. No, it's about teams that lose. In New York, the Yankees were winners. There's something called the winner picker. You know what a winner picker is? A winner picker is the kids who always root for the teams that win. That's the same thing as not being into sports. It's easy. The people who root, if you could teach your kid to root for the loser team, you're giving him skills that will make him a Rashiva one day. Because he will work. He'll open a moisid. He'll open a moisid knowing he's going to have to raise money for salaries and no one's going to give him money. He has no fear of being in the hole. No fear because he's done it as a kid already. Sounds gimmicky, but the more I say it, the more I like it. Okay. I'm a Yankee fan, but be a Met fan. What? I hear. But maybe it was 1969 when the Mets were good. Yes.
So I have a question about Kabbalah, right? So let's say like a person takes on a Kabbalah and
Oh, that kind of Kabbalah. Okay. I thought you meant like you want me to make a golem over here. I don't do that on tape. I only do that like.
so like I'll give you an example, right? So like I took on a Kabbalah and it worked. Now what?
You took on a Kabbalah.
And it worked. I like for the cause of something, whatever. And it worked. And I just feel like I don't know.
What do you feel? What do you mean?
Did you take another one afterwards?
What's the what you wanted it not to work? Like what's the problem? You
It just feels like now what? I guess.
now what? Hashem loves you. Isn't that a cool thing to feel? Hashem's proud of you.
Is the question, do you continue with what you
Of course, whatever. What do you? Hello.
You did Nishmat for 40 days. You did a Kabbalah for hostage to come home.
Someone tells you, "I'm so proud of you. You're amazing." So now you just hang out with them more. That's what you do. You go talk to him more. You know, the Gemara says, the Ishvitzer says a beautiful thing. The Gemara discusses what's called an oirech toiv, a good guest and a bad guest. A good guest, a bad guest is the guest who they invite you to your house and you come and you say, listen, they're cooking for their family already, so they added a little bit for me or whatever. There's always leftovers. I'm sure it wasn't a big deal. A good guest, every night he goes like, you did this for me? Like to make like. It was so hard. Like, what do you do? You can't do this every Shabbos. You do this because I'm coming, right? Like, you guys, it's amazing. The good guest sees appreciates everything. He notices every subtlety. So the Ishvitzer says amazing. He says, what happens when you have a good guest? When there's a good guest, you know what you do for a good guest? What do you do for a good guest? You have a guest who you come and they eat the soup and they go, what did you put in there? Did you put this? And then the wife goes, almost. And he goes, oh, right, that's what it is. He goes, and like everyone's so happy. You're happy. He noticed it. And so, and then it comes the fish and you go, this isn't regular gefilte fish. You mix something in it. You go, right, yeah, what? And then the meat. So you know what happens when every time that person comes to your house for Shabbos? You cook 4 extra things because they notice everything. When you have a good guest, someone who nothing's lost on them, appreciate anything, you constantly want to invite them. You want to start cooking Wednesday instead of Thursday. And you want to make extra things because it's not lost on them. So if you are a good guest to the Rabbi Shalom, and he does things for you, and you ask, and you feel like he gets it, so then you keep on inviting you. You know, you want to you keep it. You can ask him more stuff. It's an amazing experience you had. You know. So, go back for Shabbos. Get reinvited. And keep on. The most important media in the world is gratitude. And not gratitude in the way people think is be humble and appreciative. You need someone, you can't do it alone. Gratitude is wow, look what I have. The sign of gratitude is not like a head hung humble. The posture of gratitude is like beaming, like I'm the best life. Gratitude is, the raya that you have gratitude is joy. It means I get it. It's not lost on me. Like my life is such a bracha, you know? So you have a secret potion, you know? Your question should be, do I share it or do I keep it all to myself? That should be your question, you know? It's an endless pot. It's an endless pot. You know, if you can share it with everybody. You tell everyone Kabbalahs, tell them what you did. Encourage people. Yeah.
Can you make a golem? Pretty please. No, real shout out. So you talked about materialism before. You're talking
About what?
You're talking about materialism. We were talking about whatever. Just to recap like that. We're in Gullis. And it's increasingly harder and harder, excluding October 7th and everything else, to appreciate that we are in Gullis. This is literally Gullis. What's your advice to someone to give them a way to feel and realize and appreciate that we are in Gullis? Ask them for a friend.
Can I ask you? The question is that we're in Gullis, we're in Gullus. He said it a lot. We're in Gullus. And what's my lesson to help people appreciate they're in Gullus? You're making an assumption that it's
Can we put that into parenting, when you realize you should limit it, and the kid says when everybody else is making their party?
It's only
I
one,
wanted
it's
to.
only one person or two people.
No, I'm saying I have that, like.
Oh, so so I didn't understand the connection. I didn't understand the connection to what he asked to materialism. You obviously understood it. You understood it. But so how did you get there from Gullus? That's what I'm not understanding. You got it. You understood. I know, but
Like, I got a friend, he's got a car, the seats massage you. Like,
my car does that.
shocker. I wasn't saying
It's a lousy massage. It's not real. It's not like in the mall. It's not like one of those things.
names. I wasn't saying names. Anyways,
Oh, you meant me? You knew what I had?
how do you say?
You're outing me on camera?
You got it yourself.
I bought the car used. I didn't pay for that option. I didn't pay for that option. Okay.
How do you feel like you're like? How do you realize that? Hey, we're in Gullus. Like, we're in a free country.
First of all, so
we're,
can I just play? It's late at night. I could say irresponsible things. I have an out. It's 2 a.m. I'm old. So why is that an assumption that you're supposed to feel Gullus? Why are you taking that as given? You said it 4 times. I don't know. We can talk about it. A lot of people, the world is becoming more Hasidish, more.
Because we're very complacent and enjoying our Gullus.
Let me ask you a question. You have someone who's not doing well. The kid's not learning yeshiva. So you want him to do well. Does anyone really believe that telling the kid how bad he is going to cure him? Have you ever beaten somebody into productivity? What do? We focus on what's so good about him and how good it is, and teach him optimism. So how does that translate? Gullus is a result of our averis. Again, I don't mean this answer to be all-encompassing. Of course there's value to talking about Gullus. But there's times a year where you do that. Misha nichnas av mematen b'simcha. We're at now at Adar, and here's the opposite program. There are different programs. So I just want to put them in context. There are times when we need to become sober and deal with negativity and feel loss. There's something called sitting shiva, but these are minimalized. 7 days, 9 days, and then you move on. Primarily, the goal of life is to not be weighed down by tsaras and to preserve optimism. And all the Svarim, primarily Hasidic Svarim, they spend a lot of time saying far more dangerous than Averas is the loss of self-respect and the guilt you feel from the Avera. The alienation from the Hashem that you feel because you did an Avera. And that ruins the relationship. And then you can't face Hashem. The Avera is one thing, but now I can't go to shul because I'm embarrassed to face Hashem. That's much worse than the Avera. Talking about Gullus and all that we did wrong and deserve, in many contexts, is not the right way. It's to talk about, is to not be weighed. Yes, we were put in Gullus for our Averis. And my job is to get back on the wagon and feel close to Hashem and not to feel rejected and to focus on what's beautiful. I'm not redoing Judaism and saying that Gullus should be, but the way the question was phrased, I would rather focus on the limitations of Gullus and to tell people talk about Geula and the potentials for Geula. People grow and people thrive when you paint for them a viable picture of a future, of joy. We're very good at creating all the dark pictures of what might happen. What we need more encouragement is to paint beautiful pictures of what might happen so that we can be inspired to get in. I'm very inclined to talk less about Gullus and more about Geula, and more about the potential, more about what's beautiful, and even to minimize Averis, so that you can go weiter and you cannot be weighed down. I'm not denying Tisha B'Av and 3 weeks. This is definitely not the script for Chodesh Adar to be talking about Gullus. The avodah of Chodesh Adar is imara b'simcha, is to get more and more invested in the beautiful gifts of our lives. You be mekayim marvin b'simcha when every single day you find more things in your life to be happy about, and happiness creates optimism, and optimistic people are more attractive. You want to hire them, you want to work for them. If you're in a business, if you have a yeshiva, you want them to come to yeshiva. If they're the Rabbi, you want to learn from him. If it's a spouse, if it's children, it just makes everyone more attractive, more you want to be around it and change his life. You know? Why are you so hung up on Gullus? Why is that so we finish? Why you have such a blessed life? So that's it, right? So you need your life is that you have a life. It's like a chuppah, and you're looking for like the one glass I have to break because it's too perfect. That's good. So if that's what you're doing, you know, your life is one big chuppah and a chasna, and you don't want to get carried away with the joy of your amazing life. So then you.
I'll open one less bottle of wine.
I hear one less. Okay, all right. So that's your gullus. One less bottle of wine. Okay, you were yotze your gullus discussion. Come back to me in Av. I don't want to hear you mention that word again until Chodesh Av. Thomas. Okay, Thomas, give you a little leeway. Okay. You're a lichtiger guy. You gotta go with your strength. Your strength is simcha. You light up the whole room. There's anybody with more chen? Light up the whole room. Enough with the gullus. Okay? You were yaitza gullus. Okay? Yes.
Question on question. That mashal that kids don't, it doesn't usually, it's not so productive with the beating. Like usually
Right.
positivity, and I like that nimshal that like Hashem works the same way. It doesn't really help us to feel like down and everything. There is a place of, there is like this concept of charata. So where's the, I know like someone goes, oh, move on, Hashem still loves me, whatever.
I would tell you like this. A lot of ways to answer it. The simplest way at 2 a.m. to answer it is what?
Is there a place for guilt in Yiddishkeit?
Sometime I'll tell you. It's a good way to say it. And Shmoyne Esrei is full of bakashas. Most of the bakashas, every bakasha is only one bakasha. Atachoinen is give me wisdom. Rafa'enu is heal me. Borei Chaleinu give me parnasa. A lot of bakashas. One need has 2 bakashas. For tshuva and closest to Hashem, we have 2 brachas. 2 to 19 brachas. Hashivenu avinu l'sarasecha. And then slach lanu avinu ki chatanu. The order is very, very telling. Normally one would think, first you say slach lanu, forgive me on my sins, and then bring me close to you again. But we do it the opposite. First we say hashivenu avinu l'sarasecha, v'karvenu malkeinu l'avodasecha, return me, bring me close again, get me back on track, let me be close with you. And then only once you're close to Hashem and you're back on track and you're smiling and laughing again and beaming, then we say slach lanu avinu ki chatanu. Then we talk about the averos. There is a room v'charata and all this, but it's only once you're safely back in the arms of Hashem, and it's not going to weigh you down. First, you got to get back on track and get back to Hashem, and then you can deal with charata. If you do charata first, then it'll slow you. It'll make it harder for you to get back on track. Because you picture he's angry. I can't go home now. I have to wait till I deal with it. And sometimes charata is hard, and you could be out of the house for months. You know, so it's an important thing to know how shivenu comes before slach lanu. You can imagine that all the day you can have both. If you first go back and then you hit charata, then you have the benefits of dealing with the charata, whatever gifts that has, without the risks of alienation, because you're already back on track.
What's like a proper approach to charata? It's different than, because guilt, it seems like it's just not productive. This person feel low and bad.
I have a very deep talk on charata. I just don't know if it's like too late for it now. Like the right. I think we're better off with short questions with short answers than a whole maracha. What can I say short now? The shortest way to deal with charata is when you're in a good place and you're happy, to realize like, imagine what my life would have been like if I wouldn't have been derailed. Imagine, it's so good now. I started the race 10 minutes behind everybody else because I was stuck in this. I could have been up to there. My life could have been like there. The value of charata, again, none of it is meant to punish yourself. Everything is meant to get closer to Hashem and to live a better life. So the goal of charata is a mindset that allows you to be more invested. And the way that works is to realize the dangers of being derailed and the dangers of, and a good way to have charata is like, wow, I mamish was playing with fire. There are people who did what I did and are lost because of it. They're embarrassed to face Hashem and they're gone. I'm back on track. But it was a really close call. And then you have the benefits of marinating in the dangers of Aveira and the risks of Aveira and the future vigilance that you're not going to do Aveira again without the debilitation of the Aveira, because you're talking about it more in it's like, it was bad what happened, but I survived. What a close call. That's a great way to fully talk about it, is once you could say it was a close call, I'm past it. And then you can marinate in your Averas, because they're not going to ruin it. But to marinate in your Averas before you got back on track, people never get back on track. There are people who, there's the expression doubling down. Chaim Shmulevitz talks about, it's a powerful way, you have to see it in Sichas Musar. He talks about Chiel. Chiel's the guy who rebuilt Yerichai. Yeshua gave a klala, whoever rebuilds Yerichai, it's a cherem oilam, you're not allowed to rebuild it. Anyone who rebuilds Yerichai will lose his oldest son the day he, digs the foundation, and he'll lose his last youngest son the day he, finishes the gate. How what the Lashon is exactly. And meaning, the Mashmoyas is he'll lose, in the course of the building, he'll lose all of his kids. Came Chiel, he had 10, 8 kids, whatever it was. He dug the foundation, he lost his oldest son. And then he finished the whole thing and he lost his youngest son. He goes and Rechaim shows his business, what's he thinking? Everything's coming true. So what's the answer? What's Chiel thinking? It's so messed up and it's so deep, but we can understand what he's thinking. Is once he lost his oldest son, I just ruined my life with my stupid Avera. So after such a tragedy and being so culpable for something so terrible, you double down. And you go, who cares? Just they give up. And now I lost 2 sons. And now I doubled out. We get stuck and you can't face the guilt of what you did wrong. So we just do more wrong. The story of Chiel, he brings it down because we all Chiel sometimes. It should be a verb, like Chieling. We do this. We throw bad money after good money. Those expressions. We instead of changing paths, the teva is just to keep on going in the path we're going, which is just self-destructive, and we know it, and we can't pull ourselves away. That's what Chet does. So it's very important to get out of Chet before you address it. Yeah, you need to talk about what you did and understand why you did it wrong and realize how dangerous it was. But it's much more healthy to do it after Hashivenu Avinu L'Sarasecha. First, stop building Yerichai. Move 800 miles from Yerichai. Burn every record you have of directions how to get to Yerichai. Okay, now you're gone, you're not going to finish it. Now let's talk about how you messed up. But first you got to find a new city that you're allowed to build before you... That's the idea. Don't. A lot of times, people who want to talk about charata, it comes from some kind of need to suffer more and punish myself for what I did wrong. Again, I'm sure there are makairos for things like that, but I can't imagine you're going to find anybody who's in our dar who would advise that that's a healthy thing. The right thing. Maybe on extremely high levels, there's something like that. But the job is being close to Hashem. punishing yourself and feeling guilty, I don't know in this dar who benefits from that. I have many Talmidim, and my inclination is, yeah, it's so easy to give petch. But after a while, you realize how nobody ever, even if they improve from it, it's a weird improvement. You lose them, their distance from you, there's nothing more powerful than giving someone a hug and saying you're amazing. And they say, what? We think it might have been, but there's a reason that, there's no Musar movement anymore, Musar, like, everyone's, the biggest movement, growing thing in Yiddishkeit is Breslov, which is the opposite extreme, why? So it's a happy medium, but positivity is I kind of want to sound too modern because I realize, but this isn't the issue to be old school. There's a lot of value to old school.
Intergenerational trauma. Remember old school.
Yeah, there's a lot of value, but this isn't the place to be nostalgic. It's about kids being hit by their parents or by rebellion. I'm sure there are holy people who have nice tires to defend it, But there's an important rule. In the Beis Hamikdash, there were chatzotzers, trumpets. It's not listed in the Klei Hamikdash. We just read in Truma of all the things that were built. And we talk about the mizrakais and all the forks and the spoons and the ladles, but the trumpets, which are spoken about a lot in the Torah, the use of them, are not listed in the Mishkan. And the answer is because it wasn't l'doros. The Mishkan was permanent, and it traveled with them, and the Mishkan was forever. Every generation made new trumpets. The trumpets weren't eternal. You got rid of your trumpets, you got new ones. Because there's two things. There's the avodah itself, the job, and then there are the things that call you to the job, the trumpets. The job of Yiddishkeit never changes. But the trumpets, every generation needs different trumpets. So saying Musar and these types of things are trumpets. Torah is the constant. The things that lead me to Torah are trumpets. It's not like too modern to say that that Musar is not for my Talmidim, that kind of Musar, because it's trumpets. And the Torah itself tells us that it's too modern to say the Torah has to change. The Mishkan's forever. The Klei HaMikdash is forever. The trumpets, the Torah itself tells us, change every generation. So the ways to inspire people change. And that's being old-fashioned. It's old-fashioned to adapt new trumpets to every dar. That's the Messiah of Klal Yisrael. And there are certain kinds of svarim, these kind of svarim, the call to action svarim, the inspirational svarim, that literally you can study the history of Klal Yisrael by looking how they've changed over the years, And now people, we don't change that much. So reading old Musar type svarim touch people. It does, but not in the most perfect way. The best person to learn svarim from a trumpet svarim is who's the best mashgiach alive today. You want to read from Matasio Solomon. That's who you want to hear from. You want to hear from people who live today, and Talmidei Chachamim went to him. He's the person on the pulse of what Talmidim need to hear right now. You look at the Hasidic Rebbes who are leading their Hasidus and they're growing. You look at something like Belz, who's always changing and always doing things, and you hear what that Rebbe has to say. What does he know about the world? Look what he's doing. He's creating new institutions and new ideas. You want to look at the leaders of the day. Those are the trumpets. There are trumpet voices, and therefore, I think that the trumpet voices of today are not seeing charata as that kind of charata as the productive way to get someone on track. Yeah.
Not exactly a question, it's just on this you also mentioned about like relationship with Hashem and talking. And when it comes to doing his bodas, it's like you start off with the gratitude, and then it goes into that cheshbon and nefesh of yeah, it's like that. Like it could spiral into a place of guilt of, oh, woe to me, what did I do? Instead, it's actually an opportunity to actually talk frank with God, talk frank with Hashem, and be like, I am being honest, and here's the opportunity that I have now to like I said, things are not going to be the same once you go to that 800 miles away to a new city. You're building a new city. It's going to look different as an opportunity. So it's not
Right.
the regret, it's not the shame, it's not the guilt. It's the opportunity that's within it, and it's like that's the, I feel like for me, like that's the mussar for
Right.
today. That's
Right.
the trumpets for today, of just that. Also, when it comes to the galus versus the geula, korban toda and parakuf, those are going to be the things that are going to stay, and it's about
Very
about
nice.
the gratitude.
Very nice. Very nice. But I do, as you're saying it, I just was thinking, it's worth going off on a little tangent, that the charata thing, bein odom lechaveroi, is very important. You can't really, when you hurt somebody else, that person needs to know that you feel real sadness about what you did to them. The Rabbeinu Shalom is very, very secure, and he could forego charata until you're back on track, But if you feel a need to hear about charata, you can think about it more in bein odom lechaveroi, because it's very important. But even in bein odom lechaveroi, it's probably much smarter to first make up and get back on track before you start talking about how much I hurt you. Because when you talk about it beforehand, it just exacerbates the division. If you make up and we're talking, then in that same place we can talk about how much I hurt you, and how bad I feel, and then you can go back to the thing about Hashem. Like there is a beauty, there is something so deep about guilt and the shame that you feel for hurting someone. It's part of relationship. It's just impossible to have that charata and whatever closeness that brings. There's a certain humility that you come to Hashem when you come with your hat in your hand, like I messed up. And you gave me every opportunity and the gifts, and I used it to hurt you. I used it, so I let you down. Those are good hergeshim. But to do that,
You bring that Adam Chavero to Adam Lamakum first.
Okay,
For the insight, for
Fine.
the introspection, for the
fine.
no.
No, it's nice. It's nice. It's nice.
Thing with myself over here.
It's nice. Take one more question. More questions? How good?
Unless I misunderstood, wouldn't it be appropriate then to look at the Yom Kippur Al-Chaitz and say, okay, where did this thing I did fit in there so that I can just do my tshuva and move on?
So what are you saying? What for charata? You're saying get all your charata done with.
Well, I'm just saying, like, instead of like just ruminating about it, go into your Yom Kippur Matzah.
We're
and
saying there's no
okay,
guilt.
this
Say
is-
you're sorry, do
No,
tshuva,
you
and
have
why
your
do you have
guilt.
guilt
That's
after?
why you're putting it somewhere. You're like, when I come to Yom Kippur, here's the Al-Chait or the Al-Chaitz that I'm gonna say that correspond to this that I'm feeling so terrible.
I just maybe we should go on. It's a big sugya. There's a lot to say, and everything you said made me want to give another speech. Like you said a million things, but every one of them to treat it properly needs a whole. At one point, you have to control yourself. I'm just thinking that maybe we'll do two of them. No, like it's. No, like even Yom Kippur.
Maybe I misunderstood it.
No, you're not misunderstanding. It's. Listen, there's val. I don't know. Let's talk. It's Adar. Look at the happy things. That's why I'm feeling it. It's like not the time for it. It's the growth through simcha. I'm not meaning to discount the growth through humility and the growth through brokenness. These are all real. But this is the avodah now. You follow Hashem's script. Today you come to Hashem through simcha. Let's talk about what's beautiful, what's good. Marinate in the matanos of Hashem. think about how lucky we are, and Hashem saves us. We're bulletproof.
Listen, I thank Hashem a million times a day because I don't want him to come looking for me sometimes.
But even that's so litvish. You're taking Hashem's gifts and you're saying, what's the greatness of the beautiful Hashem is that He's not going to hunt me down. Like my ultimate picture of the goodness of Hashem is today I don't get smacked.
Well, she knows what her boy has. So she knows Hashem can have it, you figure.
It's like we're so defensive. Like big asagas. Think about the jewelry Hashem bought you yesterday, not the smack you avoided. The gifts you get. Okay.
Tremendous gratitude for the littlest thing. I want to make sure he knows that I appreciate it.
Kirby, this time I said, what's allowed? I allowed another person in the back of the room.
The way I picture the ultimate relationship with Hashem is like this, that feeling like me, like you did that for me, like they're not feeling me. You're just so overwhelmed, like you can't believe they even noticed me, and then you did all this. Like, what did I do to this? Like, that feeling is so halig. It's a feeling of smallness, but not dark smallness. It's smallness like I am so weighed down by bracha, like oh my God, like that's like everything. It's like the hugeness of smallness and.
I don't see it that way. I see that Hashem showered me with so much bracha, and I don't know. I don't see myself as small. I don't see myself as big, but I don't.
You feel like you deserve it.
No, not at all. I'm very.
No, you do. You do.
I'm so grateful.
That's what I'm saying. So Hashem, me, like did it for me, and I don't feel that. You don't feel like. Oh. The other alternative is not me. Yeah. Okay, you said you're going to pay me, and you're on time. That's also good. That's mishpat. That's mishpat. But racham, this is a very deep machlokes. What is holier? What's deeper? What's close to Hashem? Mishpat or rachamim? You know, when Hashem gives you something because you worked hard and you get a good grade from Hashem, and Hashem says, "Well done," or when Hashem gives you something that's totally like more than you deserved, and like. It's one of these amazing machloksim. You can argue back and forth whether Hashem and Elokim is. Those are the two sides, din and rachamim. Which one's a deeper relationship? Hanina ben Daisa, like these are the Gemaras. There's so many different types of tzaddikim who Hashem treated. You know, you want to be whatever. These are endless pools. It's late. We should. Let everybody go to sleep. What time is it?
It's 3 a.m.
Yeah,
Really is? No.
No, 2, but you have to move your clock to 3 now.
It's 3 a.m.
Right, it's 3 a.m. What?
Yeah, because it just turned 2. So
Right. Okay, everybody. It was an amazing weekend. Thank you for.
Thank you.
We'll see you next year. Or maybe we'll see you before then.
Shalayim, hallelujah.
Yushalayim, whatever.